And finally, before we get to your questions, we have some news to announce.
Commissioner Kathy Engelberg, Commissioner of the WNBA, just announced that starting in 2025, the WNBA Finals format will change.
During the playoffs, the WNBA recently unveiled a huge surprise, all thanks to the Caitlin Clark influence. The rules are being significantly changed for 2025. But the true question is, will anything change at all, or is it too little, too late? Following Clark's playoff exit, which left Stadia half empty and ratings in the dirt, the league SCP is currently trying to pull itself up. Can these new rules, however, truly fix the problems? Let's discuss Clark's impact. She rewrote the game rather than just playing it. Arenas were packed, TV ratings shot through the roof, 62 records were broken, and fans couldn't get enough of Clark and the Fever, which was becoming a nightly highlight reel.
I knew the atmosphere was going to be electric when they announced Caitlin's name in the dark and the fans went crazy.
But this is the reality. Everything collapsed after Clark left, and the ratings of certain games plunged by 80%. Is it possible for the WNBA to function without its golden goose? Given the current state of affairs, these new regulations had better be good. Please remember to subscribe to the channel before we break it down. Are you prepared? Come on. All of a sudden, arenas resemble abandoned cities. To avoid looking unprofessional on live television, crowded areas are taped off. Sincerely, do you find it surprising that Clark went golfing after carrying this league on her back?
And with the WNBA playoffs, let's stay here. Let's just say the ratings aren't the same with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever now eliminated. By the way, not only was viewership down, but attendance was as well.
The WNBA is in a frenzy, but what's even more shocking is that these new regulations go beyond simple changes. The league might be made or broken by this total makeover. Will it be sufficient to bridge the gap in their ratings that Caitlin caused? Or will the league keep becoming irrelevant? Let's look at these desperate behaviors. To begin with, they are expanding the regular season schedule from 40 to 44 games in 2025 to make room for the Golden State Valkyries, a new team, and give you more chances to cheer on your favorite club.
To go to multiple arenas so that people that are watching at home can see this environment in a multitude of cities. It's amazing. I love it. The growth continues.
But there are also changes being made to the finals. Instead of being best of 5, they will now be best of 7 series.
Starting in 2025, the WNBA Finals format will change to a best-of-7 series.
Yes.
And the format will be 2-2-1-1.
The league is delaying the first round of the playoffs by switching to a 111 format, which ensures the lower seed one home game, because they clearly think that more games translate into more viewers and more revenue.
Say for the fans, it's a benefit for your team. It's played well enough to get into the playoffs. So now that your fans will be able to see your team play at home during those playoffs.
Yes, the calendar needs to be balanced constantly, but it's more like a never-ending race to keep the lights on when your best player isn't there. Due to all of the drama surrounding Games 1 and 2 of the Fever Sun series, the Indiana Fever were never able to return and play for their fans in Gainbridge. I believe they at last understood that lower seeds also needed to perform in front of their own audience. Commissioner Kathy Engelberg is currently attempting to convince us that these modifications will save the league.
Increased attention this year. There's also been increased scrutiny about the quality of refereeing. Curious if there has been any conversation about whether it's referee pay, referee training, anything to ensure that is as good as it can.
But let's take a moment to be honest. Do the fans' needs really get met by these reforms? On paper, additional games may sound great, but what about the important factors, like player safety and proper officiating, that Engelberg utterly disregarded?
One thing as a very long-term sports fan I know is that officiating and refereeing is always at the top of a fan's list, of the media's list. Obviously, not every, they're huge.
It appears as though they are renovating a decaying property by applying a new code. Fans that saw what Clark brought to the table shouldn't be offended. In addition to his amazing abilities, he also adopted a whole new playing style. Team basketball that is fast-paced, happy, and thrilling, and in which players actively play with one another. Things are returning to normal now that the season is longer. Since the fans are stating that they want fair calls, the kind of basketball Clark played, and the protection of their favorite players on the court, you have to question whether anyone in the league office is actually listening to them. However, we receive more games rather than solutions to those core problems. Immediately after Clark exits the playoffs, half of the arena's vacant TV ratings fall more precipitously than the Chicago SkyTrain disaster. Increasing the amount of content we already don't watch is the NBA's clever solution.
Came to see Caitlin Clark tonight.
Oh, gotta watch number 22.
I've been watching Caitlin for a couple of years, and since then I've dreamed about coming to a game.
Let's talk about those ratings for a bit. Clark's games attracted over 1 million viewers, while her postseason matches attracted 2 to 3 million. You're lucky if you break $500,000 without her. What is the ultimate objective here? Are they expecting that by the time the 2025 season rolls around, supporters will only be thrilled by a few extra regular season games and will have forgotten about the underlying issues that are destroying the league? Or are they holding out hope that the rivalry story will ignite at last?
White, one black. And so we have that moment with these two. But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. They don't want everybody being nice to one another.
These changes can have unintended consequences because Kathy Angelbert's universe has several players. The league seems to be living in denial that they had a brief affair with Clark. And they're moving deck chairs around the Titanic rather than trying to figure out how to replicate that enchantment. More subpar basketball is not what the fans are requesting. They seek thrills. Fair play is what they desire. Their favorite players are the ones they hope to see. Players experience increased wear and tear as they play more games. More injuries could arise from longer playoff series. Additionally, those extra games are merely more opportunities for fans to lose interest and grow furious if the refereeing doesn't become better. I recognize that change is challenging, but simply adding more games and calling it progress is insufficient. The WNBA must examine itself critically and decide if these modifications are actually satisfying fan demands or if they are merely a last-ditch attempt to leverage the Caitlin Clark effect. If the video has been enjoyable to you thus far, please remember to like, subscribe, and enable all notifications. We recognize that watching this film requires some of your time, and we are grateful for that. Let's return to the action now.
I noticed when you're asking about Caitlin a lot, you bring up other rookies as well.
No league's ever about one player. That player could get hurt or whatever. So I think it's just to give recognition that in sports, people watch for compelling content and rivalries. And you can't do that alone as one person.
What if I told you that Caitlin Clark independently altered the WNBA's playbook? In living rooms and boardrooms, as well as on the court. The obvious is being overlooked as everyone talks about changing the rules. Let's talk about them across the United States as statistics don't lie. Clark's jersey became the best-selling rookie jersey in WNBA history, which was extremely helpful to a league that desperately needed star power. But it's more than just a win. In 2024, more than 54 million people watched all of her games, which goes far beyond products. It's not a mistake. 54 million individuals. How recently has that occurred?
Fever are going to be over 200,000 higher than the next highest total attendance in league history. Clarkonomics, Mike.
This is where things go serious, though. The number of people watching the nationally televised game falls to 440,000 without Clark on the court, which is a nosedive rather than a dip. It's not just TV, either. The NBA broke its attendance record with almost 1.5 million fans attending games throughout Clark's season. They were filling AR, not merely watching. You may be asking yourself, well, but there is only one player. You're wrong, though. Clark was not merely a player. She was a cultural icon who popularized watching women's basketball on TV. Additionally, she sparked conversations about the WNBA on water coolers and social media. When did you last witness such a high level of enthusiasm for the league?
She is growing to be the face of the WNBA, reason why her presence on court grabs just as much interest as some of the biggest names over in the men's event. The viewership of the regular season saw 54 million people tune in to watch the WNBA, a boost of 170% from last year.
There are other factors besides Clark that are drawing attention today. What she stood for is equally important. High-scoring, fast-paced basketball fans want to watch thrilling games, but it seems like we're going back to the usual snooze fest. But there's more to it than that. Fans are not only missing Clark's game, they are fed up with the league's underlying issues. The idea of player safety is absurd. Fair officiating that doesn't make me chuckle includes the eye poke incident and the subpar Rookie of the Year celebration. These are not minor setbacks. These indicate that the league has forgotten what players and supporters really want.
That's what's called being a consumer. You get to buy what you want to purchase.
Let's also talk about management for a moment. It seems that Kathy Angelbert and her group are more focused on making quick money than building a competitive league that will stay. They struck gold with Clark, but they rode the Clark wave until it crashed rather than leveraging that momentum to strengthen the league as a whole. Engelbert and colleagues are now left desperately attempting to mend the holes in a sinking ship due to these new regulations. Let's address the most pressing issue. The topics that the WNBA wants you to avoid concentrating on. These adjustments to the rules are more than a temporary solution. They are a smoke screen that hides some really significant issues. First, let's talk about player safety. Remember that Clark got stabbed in the eye during that playoff game. And no foul was called, despite how terrible it looked. That was not only bad refereeing, it was dangerous.
I don't even know why I would intend to hit anybody in the eye. That doesn't even make sense to me. But no, I didn't. I didn't know I hit her, actually. I was trying to make a play on the ball, and I guess I followed through and I hit her. So obviously it's never intentional. That's not even like the type of player that I am.
Furthermore, this is not an isolated incident. Clark received 177% of the league's severe fouls during her debut campaign. That one player absorbed so many hits is absurd. Were the Jordanian regulations reinstated? At least she was named Rookie of the Year, even if no one told us about it. Such incidents raise questions about whether the WNBA genuinely cares about its players or if their primary focus is on rapid victories and sensational headlines. She is altering the game as we know it and shattering records everywhere. And how can the WNBA honor her historic achievements with a phone call in a practice gym without any fanfare or ceremony? They didn't even seem to want to recognize the amount of work she had done for the league.
They decided that they were going to let her know she was Rookie of the Year with a phone call in Connecticut during a practice before a playoff game. You can't make this up.
They should also start treating their stars like stars when they have a player like Clark. The WNBA is making a valiant effort to fill the Clark-sized void in their league with these new regulations. Longer playoffs and more games seem great, but let's be honest, will a few additional games solve the true issues? You make a big deal out of it, shatter records, attract millions of viewers, and use that momentum to help the league as a whole? This is the crucial query. Is it too late? Or were these modifications the best course of action to take in the first place? It seems to me that the WNBA is using a water gun to try to extinguish a forest fire. We are discussing a league that is incapable of providing safe havens for its stars, administering fair play, or even bothering to appropriately recognize and honor its best players. Ratings are declining and stadia are emptier than a politician's pledges now that Clark is no longer there. Is women's professional basketball in the horizon, or will the league follow Caitlin Clark's lead and cut back? Kindly leave a comment with your ideas. Don't miss anything by subscribing and turning on all notifications.